What's up, everybody? We are here today to install. It's a chandelier ceiling fan combo. This thing actually was considerably harder to install and assemble than either a standard chandelier or a standard ceiling fan. I wanted to walk you through what I did and some of the struggles that I had and how I overcame them. So, if anybody out there runs into a similar situation, this may help you get past a hump. Let's go to work. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the power to the existing light fixture, and we're going to loosen up the stop nut so we can drop the escutcheon and disconnect the wires. Just FYI, I am twisting these facing the back of the wire nut counterclockwise and removing, separating the two wires. Now all I'm going to do is feed the power wire that feeds the chandelier back through the holding nut in the bracket so we can take all that down. After that, I'm going to wrestle with the escutcheon on the carabiner that held the chain in place for just a second, and then we're going to drop the existing bracket because we're going to need something a little more heavy duty than this that comes with the fan. As a bonus here, I'm going to point it out in just a second. We actually have a second power wire there, so it's wired for a fan switch combo. It's pre-wired for a fan switch combo if that happens to be needed. For this step, we are going to install the fan blades on the fan motor. Just make sure on this particular one that you get the blades pointed in the right direction, so that way your directional switch on that, which is used seasonally, will operate correctly. This is the installation of the arms that will eventually support the chandelier. It actually goes around the outside of the fan itself. I'm just basically snugging everything up, pulling the wires through the existing holes, snugging up the arms. I'm not tightening anything yet. I'm not exactly sure what to expect on this one. I know this is going to be a little bit more difficult build, but basically leave everything a little bit loose. So if you have to make some small adjustments down the road, you can, and then just come back up and tighten everything up at the end. Now we are full on to assembling the chandelier ring around the fan, and it's time to run the wires for the lighting and actually I will start putting the plates on here in a minute. You're going to notice I had some difficulty a couple of times lining things up, so it was a smart idea to keep it a little bit loose so that way I could move things around and get the screws to line up with all the holes in both the inner and outer plates and on the outer ring itself. If you've got any questions on this, please hit me up in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe this. We put a lot of work into these videos, and it really goes a long way to help my little channel. Thank you. It is a little tedious feeding some of this wiring into the chandelier ring. It takes a little bit of patience. Everything has to fit just right. You want to make sure you don't pinch any of the wires in between any pieces of metal whatsoever. I did show it earlier, and you will actually see when I have a little bit of difficulty on some of that. I can actually reach back to the back part of the motor where all those wires came through the arm and actually pull some slack out that way when I need to. You just need to make sure you have all of the individual connectors inside the ring. I tried it the other way at first, and that did not work. If you are actually assembling your own fan, chandelier, whatever, one good thing to keep in mind is yours may not be white and blue. It may be white and red. There may be multiples. It's just really simple to keep in mind. Like colors go with like colors. If it's blue, red, black, those go with those existing colors. Don't cross the colors. Most of the manufacturers are pretty good about making sure that their connectors won't cross like that, but just make sure you keep those together. Just like with the light arms, the top of the brackets and at the bottom of the brackets, I'm literally just snugging everything down and leaving them a little bit loose, so that way any kind of tweaking or adjustments I need to make, it makes it easier to get the screws in the holes and make everything line up the way the factory intended to. This is the point where I go back and tighten everything we left a little bit loose, so that way everything's nice and snug before we are nice and tight before we go and hang it. There's more to come after this, but we're going to complete this and then move on to the next part. Now we're going to connect all the wiring to the extensions that we already have hanging out available for us. Don't miss the little ribbon on the side. That one's easy to do. And just remember, like wires to like wires. And if it's set up correctly from the factory, which it should be, you can't connect it to the wrong one. I'm going to feed all of the wiring through the backing plate, and then I'm going to screw it down, going with the same cardinal rule that I had mentioned before. Don't tighten everything down, get everything in place, and then come back up and tighten it down after that. This next part happens pretty quickly, but I've already put the ball socket with the pin in it on the end of the downrod. I also feed the cover plate up that covers that ball socket onto the holder in the ceiling. And I've already got, if you see right there, I've got the collar that holds the chains for the chandelier on there as well. Now I'm just going to insert that pin. I am not going to set the two set screws on the downrod until we are completely done with this thing, so that way it's not out of balance at all. I am installing the mounting bracket for the fan into the existing fan rated box. We're actually going to pick that ceiling fan chandelier up and set it into that bracket, there's a notch that lines up with that ball joint in there before we ever wire anything. So that way you're not sitting there holding the fan while you're trying to do all the wiring. Now, first off, I'm going to apologize. This was actually fairly hard to shoot. What I'm doing here is I'm wiring the receiver for the ceiling fan controls. You might be able to see a little bit better here, but that receiver actually mounts on top of that bracket. So that way the cover plate will cover everything else up. I'm wiring it back, again, color to color. I did not need that extra fan light switch in there since this has the electronic receiver in it, and everything is controlled fan, light, speed, direction, all by a remote. This mounting box was actually a pancake box, so it's really thin. So what I'm going to do here is just basically stuff all the wires up into the existing box over the receiver that I can, and then just use the cover to hide everything else. Uh, it's pretty common on a ceiling fan. This one had a little bit extra to it. Kind of got to do what you got to do. Pretty straightforward right here. The screws for the cover are already in the mounting bracket, so we're just going to back those off enough to slide that thing in place, lock it down, and tighten it up with a screwdriver. The chains already have carabiners installed on each side to make it pretty easy to assemble. I'm going to attach all of those to the chandelier and then back over to the downrod where that already has the collar for the chains on it. Get them all in where it's all everything's secure. I'm going to slide it up and tighten that on that downrod. I have turned the power back on. We are going to put in light bulbs, and then we're going to give that fan a test, make sure it does what it's supposed to do, and this job is pretty well done. If you've got any questions, please let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that fancy stuff, and we will see you on the next build. If you've got anything you want to help installing, let me know down in the comments as well, and I'll see what I can do. We'll see you guys next time.